Hi, I'm Rebecca, I'm the Psych coach, and today I'm going to be talking to you about how to cope with managing imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome, the fraud complex, they're both the same thing, but what they do is they chip away at your confidence and they make you turn away opportunities and not feel good about yourself because you're constantly worried about being found out and convinced that you're not as good as other people think you are. Let me talk to you today about 5 strategies proven time and time again in various psychological settings that will help you manage the imposter syndrome and get you feeling far more confident and grabbing opportunities when they present themselves. Okay, so we know the fraud complex and imposter syndrome is basically where you think you're going to get found out for not being very good. Lots of people have it. In fact, I suspect that more people within the workplace have it or have had it than don't. If you start talking about it, typically someone is going to say, oh yes, I remember when I had that, or I had that when I was at school or at university or during a job interview or in my first job or in my current job. In fact, plenty of people have jobs and still have the imposter syndrome. What's also interesting is plenty of people climb career ladders and get promotions and get their dream jobs, but still have it. So what can you do to manage it? Tip number 1 is look at the empirical evidence. That means looking at all the evidence that suggests that little voice on your shoulder saying you're not good enough isn't true. Presumably you've got to a position where you have in work, or presumably you've got to a position at school or college or university or in your social group where you've done well to get where you have done, you're pleased with where you've got to where you have, and you don't want to lose it. But that annoying little voice says, you're not as good as people think you are. One day you're going to get found out, so you need to play it safe. So you need to look at the evidence that suggests you're not an imposter, because presumably there is a whole load of evidence that says actually you're probably as good as people think you are. If you've got a job, you're probably as good as people assume you are because you got the interview. If you got good results in your exams, it probably means you're decent at what you do. So you're therefore able to do your exams. So look at the empirical evidence, look at the job you've got, look at the people who did your interviews, look at the exam results you may have got, look at the qualifications you've got, look at the friendship group you've got, look at all the people around you who think you're good at whatever it is you feel the imposter syndrome with. Because surely they can't all be wrong. Surely the results, surely your promotion, surely your job, whatever it is you feel unconfident in, surely it speaks for itself. The evidence is there. And that's not going to get rid of the imposter syndrome, but constantly reminding yourself of, hey, but I did get through the interview. I did get these results. I worked hard for it. I've been in my job 2 years and I still haven't been found out. All of that rational evidence still helps to keep the imposter at bay. Otherwise, you will start buying into the idea of I'm not good enough. Maybe I got here by fluke. Maybe it was just luck that I'd revised the right questions. Maybe the people who interviewed me didn't really know what they were talking about and they were having a bad day, so that was just lucky. Remind yourself of the evidence. Tip number 2 is befriend the imposter. That means getting friendly with the irritating imposter that is constantly saying you're not good enough. What I mean by that is accepting the fact the imposter syndrome is there. Constantly trying to ignore it and pretending it's not there isn't going to help, is it? Because you know it's there. So just sort of doing a bit of an eye roll. Oh, there's my imposter again, thinking I'm not capable of putting myself forward for a new challenge. There's the imposter thinking I'm not capable of going for a promotion. There's the imposter thinking that I'm not going to do very well in my exam. You know, just sort of acquainting yourself with it. Maybe you've got a friend in your friendship circle who you're not particularly keen on, who you're friendly with, but you're not particularly keen on, and you can do that with the imposter. It's just more of a, here they are again, I don't really rate them, but they're there. And you can still carry on doing what you need to do, taking on the opportunities that are coming your way, striving to do as best as you can in whatever it is you want to push yourself with, whilst just having the annoying imposter there. So by befriending it, you're not trying to push it away, but it's more of a, okay, here's just my annoying friend that's come along for the ride. That kind of eye-rolling attitude. You know, they're a bit inconsequential, they don't really mean much, I'm not really going to listen to what they've got to say, but they're there. So hello, imposter syndrome. Befriend it, because that will mean you can have a slightly more relaxed attitude to it when it's there, just a bit of an eye roll as opposed to oh, maybe I need to listen to this, maybe it's true, maybe I'm not as good as they think I am, maybe actually it's all just fluke and I've got to where I have by fluke, and one day it's going to get found out. Just befriend it, see it as an irritant that doesn't really mean anything, has got no truth to it, but is ever present. Tip number 3 is behave as if you don't have it. Sounds obvious, hey? But a lot of the time, if people have got imposter syndrome, they will typically shy away from additional responsibilities. In fact, they will shy away from most situations where there is a risk that they will get found out. So do the opposite, okay? Confront those situations, deal with them, do not say no to opportunities that come your way, deal with them and accept the fact that yes, it's there, it's not pleasant that it's there, but act as if you don't have it. Think about, okay, what is someone who, think of someone in your world who behaves in a confident way, who you think, oh, I'd really like to have their confidence in my friendship group, at work, in whatever, my home life, and try and copy that behavior, try and emulate it, try and be like them. So act as if you don't have the imposter syndrome, recognize it's there, but carry yourself in such a way where you don't have it, and take on the opportunities that are coming your way and risk getting found out, because the likelihood is you won't. Which brings me on very nicely to tip number 4. Work from the basis you won't get found out. I cannot tell you the amount of people I have spoken to over the years who are convinced they are going to get found out. Absolutely convinced that it's a matter of time. I also cannot tell you a single person I have met over the years who has actually been found out. So from a statistical perspective, it is highly unlikely you're going to get found out. Okay, which means that the imposter is probably wildly incorrect. So work from the basis you're not going to get found out. That means not engaging in unhealthy behaviours like people pleasing, shirking away from opportunities, not going for interviews for fear of being found out. Work from the basis you're not going to be, and if you're not going to be found out, you need to do everything that's in your interest to do that will help build your confidence and make you feel really good. And the better you feel about yourself, the quieter the imposter syndrome gets. And tip number 5 is take risks. The imposter will have you really withdrawing, hiding away, not seeking out opportunity, because imposter syndrome is a bit like having sort of anxiety. You want to sort of hide away from things. The imposter syndrome will make you want to shy away. But you mustn't do that, because the more you shy away, the louder that voice will get. So take opportunities head on. The more you do that and the more confidently you behave, the better you will feel. Okay, an example would be, I don't know, maybe there's a promotion you really want to go for at work, but you're thinking, I just can't do it because there are so many skills that I don't have that they're looking for. There are so many, I don't know, there's so much experience they're looking for that I don't have. I would definitely get found out for being incompetent. But actually, imagine if you could just put that to one side and you could just take on that challenge, take the risk. Look, if it turns out you're not as good as people think you are, or you get found out, well, you'll be able to live with that. You can cope with that. But it's not worth months and months or years and years of continued missed opportunity. So take risks. It will be worth it. So to wrap up, tip number 1 is look at the empirical evidence. Tip number 2 is befriend the imposter. Tip number 3 is behave as if you don't have imposter syndrome. Tip number 4 is work from the basis you won't get found out. And tip number 5 is take risks. If you've enjoyed listening to today's tips on managing imposter syndrome, then hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and I will continue to give you tips on how you can use psychological strategies to help in all areas of your life.